Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's episode. I have a special guest with me today, Farras Seay. Welcome, Farras.
Hello.
So, for those of you who don't know Farras is the director of marketing with Girl Power Alliance. And I have come to know her over the past 2 years since I have partnered with Girl Power Alliance as one of the ambassadors. And I just love this woman so much. She's so much fun. She's so amazingly talented and skilled. But I wanted to bring Farras on today because we are talking about the power of fine tuning your message, but also developing the skills that you need to become a voice of influence on the earth, to step into your calling in a bigger way. And Farras, you were at the certification last year for the Kim 10 certification, and you were working behind the scenes. You were one of the corporate staff there, but I thought it'd be really great to get your perspective on what you observed and how you saw the impact that it had on those who decided to be certified as speakers. They had just gone through their 9 weeks of training in the Kingdom Speaker Academy, and now they were at their 2-day certification process, which of course involved coaching. So maybe tell me a little bit about your experience and some of the things that come to mind when you reflect back on that time.
Well, thank you so much for having me on here, Lisa. I just adore you. I've loved getting to know you over the last couple of years. But in lieu to your question, it's you go through these processes with these women, even if you're not taking it yourself. I'm definitely a huge advocate of just showing up, no matter if I'm taking the course. Being behind the scenes is pretty interesting because you get to see all of this stuff before it really happens. But it was very supernatural. To be honest, I wasn't really expecting what transpired in those 2 days. And I remember pulling you aside and I said, Lisa, like, I'm inspired by you. And, this process of going through, becoming a certified Kim 10 speaker and getting your message out there, I really felt that there was a moment for most of those women in there that healed parts of themselves. And you might be thinking like, okay, like what is she talking about? Like it was truly supernatural. I mean, the Holy Spirit was very present there, and there was just a lot of that going on. And in that kind of environment, you tend to have this like, oh, what is she going to think of me? And what is this person going to think? And, maybe they even think, oh, I feel stupid. And I really didn't feel that in that room.
Mhm.
It's really hard to explain that, but it was definitely a very, very safe space to witness, to be honest.
Mhm. Yeah, it was really cool. And I love that you said that because here we have 22 women who have decided to go further and become certified to make themselves vulnerable, getting on this stage. For some, it was their very first time ever
Hmm.
speaking in public, getting on a stage, and now not only on that first day getting in front of people, but being open to receive feedback on how they can improve their delivery, their message. And so it takes a lot of courage,
Yeah.
but what you said was so true. It was so safe. It was so safe, and the women felt that, and so much so that no one wanted to leave the room. It's like it's like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we definitely had this plan, right? You go into it and you're like, okay, so you're going to have this plan. These women are going to come in, a few people are going to give feedback. And there was a point, with corporate, we're like, okay, so, it's going to be a long day. So make sure we give, some of the coaches that were the mentors, you guys, a time to kind of break and eat some lunch. And so there's only going to be a couple people in there doing that as they were doing their first day. And it quickly transpired into something different to where everyone's like, I don't want to leave because this is so good. And it's so incredible to hear different perspectives and different stories. And I think one of the highlights of having you on there, Michelle on there, Molly on there, we had our guest coach Shay Bynes was on there as well, you know, providing feedback, is the things that you guys pointed out on some of these women's talks. And, you know, I was sitting there, I was, you know, taking photos and trying to get, you know, these raw images, and to hear what you guys pointed out for them was just, I mean, so many aha moments for sure.
Mm. So I'm curious, Ferris, as you watched this whole process unfold, was there something in you that shifted in terms of how you saw the value of this process of someone coming to the place of wanting to develop their skills? And yes, we just went through the 9-week training, which was in and of itself transformational for those who came. But now coming to this second part, was there anything that for you shifted, or anything in terms of how you saw the value of this or the importance of this, or what you would say to someone now after you observed the change that happened?
That's, you know, you go into this, and I remember when we had the conversation of like, okay, we're going to be doing a speaking academy. And it was like, okay, like another academy, right? And it's like, okay, well, what is this going to look like? What is it going to, you know, entail? How is the process going to, you know, evolve? And, you know, as we're going through it, and as we go through the 9 weeks, and we prepare and we get to it, and it's like, okay, and you have all these pieces, and, you know, in those moments, you don't realize how impactful the content inside is. And to see these women take everything that they were taught and truly implement it, right, and truly get vulnerable, like you were saying. I think vulnerability is a huge part of it.
Mhm.
um I've been told many times that I'm a very vulnerable person, and I just kind of speak, you know, as true as I possibly can. So to see some of these women and to know them on a personal level, and to hear them speak in that vulnerability that creates an impact, it really hit me of, this is going to be so much bigger than we initially anticipated. And seeing that, you know, this year we're doing it again, and we're having our first event, it's really a moment of, wow, like, this is really going to set the tone for not only women, but men, to really share what could possibly heal somebody else. I know in the beginning I'd mentioned that, you know, it was very healing. I mean, there were parts of these women, you know, whether they ever step on a stage ever again, you know, whether they ever go on a huge stage, or whether it's a call like this, whether it's live or it's Zoom, you know, to be able to kind of have their shoulders perked up a little bit higher, and their confidence just a little bit, you know, brighter, to where you can really see that it was truly, it's almost unexplainable how, you know, you go through the process, you see it, and then you're like, oh wow, this is much bigger. So it's definitely a much bigger thing than I think I had anticipated going into it. It was just like, oh, it's this academy, but it truly is something that will transform and change lives, I mean, across the globe. Just being given that opportunity to share.
Mhm. Well said. Yes, I remember at different points there was like it was like women were being set free. Either
Mm,
those, even not only those on the stage, because the one on the stage, as they gained new freedom, new confidence, like you talked about, even people witnessing and watching and hearing, there was this transformation that was happening that was really beautiful. It was actually very powerful, and I think it really comes back to the culture, though, that has been created here. at Girl Power Alliance, now Kingdom Alliance, that really laid the foundation for that kind of an environment to be safe, to be supportive, but to be really supernatural. Can you talk a little bit about your experience even as a corporate coming into, and how this culture that we are creating here as a community inside of Girl Power Alliance, how would you describe it?
I feel like that's
I know
kind of that's
I
a
know I
huge
didn't
loaded
prepare
question
you.
there. I'll kind of take it back just a little bit so that people can truly understand my answer. I remember, being asked to, do a bunch of different things for Girl Power Alliance in the very, very beginning. And I quickly was put myself in a position of comparison very quickly. It was almost immediate. It was like, "Ooh, I do not belong here. I am too loud. I am too crazy. I can't recite a Bible verse. If you were to just say, 'Do it now,' there is no way I could do any of those things." So, kind of coming into it, it definitely was I put myself in a comparison state of like, I don't really belong here. And to see all these women start to, really come here and really start to thrive and create this kind of community aspect. I never had that growing up younger.
Mm.
Women were always like, nope, they're going to do something bad to you. Something's going to happen. So really coming into this environment, it definitely stretched me to really trust. It stretched me to really look outside all the past pain and hurts, and seeing it now, seeing it evolve, and seeing how all of these women that are coming in here, and I think this is a huge part, like there's no ego here.
Mm.
There's no ego. And at first I really didn't understand what ego was because I've never had it. I was like, I don't really know what that is. Like, I don't feel that I'm better than, or, any of those things than anybody else. So, coming in here, it's definitely a no ego type of culture, community. Everybody is here for everybody to see everybody win in one way or another.
Mm.
And just seeing how these women connected, whether it was the first time at that event, whether it was the first time online. We had an event a couple days later, after the Kim 10 last year. And just to see, everybody come together and really, just support one another in whatever it is, no matter what culture, no matter what background, whatever your history is. And I think the biggest thing, for me personally is I've been through a lot of things. I've been through, and Lisa, you've been through, I've learned some things over the last few months about you. I'm like, what? I didn't know that. So I think for a long time, and I don't want to speak for all women, but I will say, I think sometimes we think it's only us that endures certain things. And we think, oh, I'm the only one that's ever experienced this.
Mm-hmm.
And coming in here, taking some of the academies myself, being engulfed into the community and really just having these relationships with women, it's, I know that I'm not alone, and I'm not the only one that is loud and crazy and, has a little edge to her, which is really great. And I think one of the biggest things is that I'll just get random messages from women that'll say, "Hey, I'm thinking about you. I just want to say thank you for everything that you're doing." And it kind of stops me in my tracks every single time, because it's like, oh, I didn't even realize that, someone was watching me or rooting me on or praying for me. And really to kind of have that in the last few years is it's unlike anything else. And it's truly something that I I never thought that was truly possible, like in this life. And so it's truly transformational. It's once you're in it, you understand, and once you have that support, and I've become really, great friends with you and some of the other people here inside of Girl Power Alliance. And it's, I definitely wouldn't trade it for the world. If somebody were to say to me like, okay, well, you can't do this anymore, I would be kicking and screaming, be like, no, please, no, I want to stay forever. Please stop. So I know that was kind of like all over the place and long-winded, but it's truly changed the trajectory of my life and just the way that I treat others and how I show up. And, when there's days that I, don't want to show up, but I'm like, oh, I'm feeling this way. There's always somebody that reaches out and says, hey, like, I haven't really seen you. Like, are you good? And I'm like, how did they know? How did they know that, I was feeling, some way? So it's just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And it's safe. Like I said at the beginning, it's safe, it's welcoming, it's inviting. And I'll never forget what Michelle had said in the very, very beginning of all of this. She said, I always wanted to find a place where I belonged. She goes, I never felt like I belonged anywhere. And she goes, I want women from all over to feel like they belong here. And I truly feel that we've accomplished that.
So beautiful. So beautiful. I love what you said. Thank you for being vulnerable as well and sharing. It was perfect because it helped to really paint a picture of, well, it helped to paint a picture of this, is that it's not just, for example, us coming in as members, as ambassadors, but you as corporate are with us. Like there is this mutual growth together and mutual bonding together. We are in this together, advancing the kingdom and allowing the Holy Spirit to do what he wants to do. And just really, that is the culture. And so I really appreciate that, because I know Michelle always says this, it's like there's room at the table. There's room at the table for everyone. And we truly cultivate that and believe that, and know that that is the heart of the Father as well. Well, just as we close up here, I know that you are behind the scenes. You're in terms of all the courses and all the things in the portal, more than anyone about all of that. And so if there's someone listening today and they're like, yes, I need to grow, I need to develop my speaking skills, I need to find my voice. What is it about being a member of Girl Power Alliance that is more than, yes, you can come in and take a course. A course is great. It's transformational. Your life will be impacted 100%. I believe that. But coming in and engaging with everything else that's in the membership, how would you describe that? Or what would you say to someone who is maybe sitting on the fence and say, well, why this one over this one? What would be something about Girl Power Alliance that you would say, that would be different?
Well, I'm going to go a little bold on
Go
this.
for it.
I'll go a little bold on this. And I actually was just talking about this the other day. And the boldness would be like, are you completely comfortable with where you're at right now in your life? Are you comfortable with where you're at? Do you feel completely fulfilled? Do you feel that, if you were to go to heaven tomorrow, heaven forbid, would you be okay with what you've done this far, with your growth, who you are? Do you think that you have truly become the best version of yourself? And that's something that I would definitely let somebody ponder with. I feel that a lot of times women and men tend to hold themselves back based on past circumstances, and that they can't be more than what they are. I will definitely say that I am somebody that thought that for a very, very long time, and really breaking through that barriers and saying, you know what, I believe that there is more, even if it's just a small little kind of like pinch of like, maybe there is more for me. I would definitely lean into that. As scary as it's going to be, as uncomfortable as it's going to be, as you may have sweats and you're just like shaking and you're like, oh my gosh, I definitely say lean into that. And don't always just be comfortable from where you're at right now, because there's so much more. Your story is going to set other people free. other people can relate to you. You're not the only one. And, God wants you to truly strive to be your very, very best, no matter your circumstance. So I would say, yeah, if you're okay with being comfortable with where you're at and you're completely happy with who you are right at this moment, I would say push further than that. Because if you're not okay, you're going to kind of stay stuck where you're at. And so
Mhm.
I definitely would advise on don't stay stuck. So I'll leave it with that, and definitely be a part of this, whether you have a message to share, whether you want to grow. And I know I just said this, but without being here, regardless if I was part of corporate or not, regardless if I was, behind the scenes and doing all this stuff and seeing all these things curated, I've been transformed in ways that I never thought were possible to really come to another level of who I am. And I wouldn't change that for the world. And I know there's so many people that need that too.
Wow, that's powerful. What a question. Yeah, it's like, are you going to settle? Thank you, Ferris. That is powerful. And we need to reflect on that. So if you're listening today and there's more, maybe you don't even know what it looks like, but there's more, then I want to invite you to step forward with courage and to explore and to ask God to just to give you everything you need. Because you know what? The first step is always the hardest. But I want to say that as you take that step, there's a whole community of women and men gathering to really surround you, to cheer you on. And if you know that you are called to speak, or you know that you need to use your voice more, whether it be in your business, your ministry, and you want to be a voice of impact for God, then I want to encourage you to put the word KSA. We'll put the letters down there, KSA, below this video where you're watching it. And I'll follow up and give you the details to get you started, because we're getting started in a couple of weeks here with a new round. And we are on a mission to train up voices of influence all over the globe to advance the kingdom in the marketplace. And we know that you're one of those, if you've been listening today, whether it be live or the replay. And so we just want to encourage you that God has more for you, and that your message is meant to transform lives, and we want to help you get it out. So thank you, Farras. Have a great day. Thank you, everyone.
It was a lot.
Bye. You're welcome.